Alright, hello, and welcome to my first of many, probably, most likely, video of a library of Ruina tier list. And on this one we're gonna cover up the E.G.O pages, which was the milestone, the goal of reaching 200 followers on Twitch. It happened, so there we are. Let me set my things up. There we go. Alright, so this is gonna be spoilers heavy. I'm gonna assume that you have cleared all the content that there is to clear right now. As of today, this video is being recorded on the 17th of March, which means the game version is 1.0.4.4A3. So this is pretty much currently all the E.G.O pages available to us at that specific time. We know, everyone knows how a tier list works. We have S, A, B, C, D. Let me explain a little further how I'm gonna rank those, because, you know, S is pretty much a no-brainer. You see an S page, you click on it. Alright, that's all there is to it. It's a very good value, or insane numbers, or numbers plus good effects. It's just pretty much you see it, your cursor automatically moves to the page and it clicks on it. You don't even, your brain already registers that it's a good page before you can even move your hand. Anyway, A is, you know, usually the better choice. If there is no S to pick, then A it is, etc, etc. D being either very low value, too expensive, not enough damage, no value, no damage, nothing. D is the bottom of the barrel. Nobody wants to see them. There's not gonna be many, I believe, in this tier. But anyway, let us get right into it. And the first one we have is Apocalypse, which is an E.G.O page on Bina's floor. It's a mass attack. Okay, so this, you're gonna hear me pretty much comment or start with this about pretty much every single E.G.O page right there, which is it's a mass attack or it's not a mass attack, because the value you gain from a page just being a mass attack is very good, very high, very good value. Targets everyone, usually has good rolls, especially on an E.G.O page. It has the capability of eating enemy dice, which is extremely good. So yeah, the fact that it's a mass attack is most likely already making those pages good, or not if they're not mass attack. It probably won't change the fact that we might see some non-mass attack in S tier. I don't know yet. It's not like this is my 100% my own opinion, by the way. I don't claim to be a Library of Ruina god. You know, I've played a lot of it, about 400 hours I think. But still, it is my opinion. Feel free to argue against, or with, rather, anything that is being said in that video. I don't mind. I don't mind dialogue, you know, discussion about things. Obviously, there are a lot of pages, and obviously people have different opinions about them, which is, you know, that's why I'm saying this is just my opinion. Anyway, Apocalypse. Honestly, 5 cost for a mass attack is fine, especially this one. Very high base number, 20 to 25 summation, and the effects are just the cherry on the cake. You know, it's pretty freaking good. If you are at 50% or lower HP, you gain plus 8 power. If the enemies are below 50% HP, you deal more damage. 50% more damage, in fact. So first of all, 20 to 25 is you know, it's above average, I'd say, for a summation mass attack, especially for a 5 cost. I mean, compare it to like Eradication, for example, from Gloria. You know, 20 to 25 is way better than what Gloria has. So base roll, even if you don't fulfill any of the condition, like you're not at 50% HP, same for the enemy, they're above, you're above 50% HP because it's the first E.G.O page you get maybe, it's still 20 to 25. it is most likely going to beat most cards, which makes it already pretty good. And then you have the added effect, and it's not even a 6 cost, which to me, it's funny that we start with that, but you know, to me, this is an S tier right away, right off the bat. If you fulfill both of the conditions, you are at 50% HP and the enemy is at 50% HP, you are gonna see some big numbers. And usually, and this is gonna be a recurring theme here, big number equals good. That's all there is to it. So yeah, this is S tier for me right off the bat. Very good page, very good value, not even that expensive. You don't need to set up anything, it's just you pick it, you click, you unga bunga, you kill everyone, and that's all there is to it. That's the beauty of it. Moving on to Black Swan from Hot's Floor. Black Swan is pretty good, actually very good. It's a 6 cost mass attack. It is expensive, not gonna lie. 2 individual dice, the first one being pretty weak actually for some reason. I don't really know exactly what the plan was on this, but the first die is a 4/8. Still could beat some clashes. I mean, by clashes you know what I mean. It still could beat some burst dice on the enemy's pages. Most likely it won't, but it's fine because there is no effect on it. You don't really care about that first die. If it wins clashes, better, okay, but you don't really care about this one. Second one though, 9 to 18, which means 90% of the time you're gonna win this clash, especially, and that's the beauty of the first die actually. Usually a good die is a first die, right? So I don't know, you fight people with Celestial Spear, for example, Vapor. That first die is gonna take care of that. Even if it loses, it's fine. The second die can then come behind it and wreck them, you know, because there's nothing behind it. Or I don't know, you fight R-Corp and you fight Concentration. First die, you're probably gonna lose it because Concentration is like 7-10. Second die though, no way in hell is gonna beat 9 to 18. Alright, so you win that second die. What happens is that they lose 3 light, and there are not many light drain effects in this game. Actually, there's very few of them, and this is one of them. So inflicting a lot of damage, because 9 to 18 is pretty good, and inflicting 3 light drain is very, very high value. Losing light is just like the enemy. Usually the player can kind of deal with losing light because, you know, you have tools to work with, but the enemies, the AI, they can't really deal with that, you know. They lose 3 light and it's over. They are going to run out of steam forever. Unfortunately, as much as I would love to place Black Swan in S tier, which was my first impression, well, I can't, and that is because something exists called Shimmering, and Shimmering pretty much nullifies the light drain, which leaves you with a 4/8, 9/18 mass attack, which is still pretty good, obviously. But obviously, again, losing the 3 light drain is just, it feels too bad. And there's a lot of Shimmering enemies, which means that it goes high A tier, pretty much. I would love to place it in S tier, trust me. I really like Hot's Floor, I really like Black Swan. Usually a lifesaver if you're in a pinch. I mean, if you're losing the fight, it can easily turn the tide. If you're winning the fight, it's just win harder, you know, you're just gonna crush the enemy. If they have no light, it's over. Next on we have Beak, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Let me make sure of that. It is Beak indeed. And well, Beak, fortunately, you know, not that much value. First of all, not a mass attack, just a melee attack. 2 pretty good rolls, I gotta admit, you know, 7-10, 7-10, or it's pretty good. With an added effect, which says, on use, reduce the cost of 2 random pages in hand by 1 until their used does not stack. So, it's a good effect, don't get me wrong, there's not that many effects that do that, reducing the cost of things in your hand. But it's a 4 cost with honestly, for a 4 cost, 710, 710 is just, it's below average for the rolls. It is on you, so you don't have to win the clash or anything like that, but obviously you would like to also deal damage. It's only against one target, so the damage is pretty much irrelevant here, right? And again, the on-use is just, it's fine, but it's nothing, it's nothing extraordinary, you know. So this page to me is just average damage to low damage, actually, 'cause it's only one target. An alright effect, but not much more, you know, just alright. Sorry about that. I was just making sure that the music was still going. Yeah, it is still a 4 cost, you know, and the rolls for a 4 cost. Honestly, I would be tempted to put that in D tier, because for now I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put it in D tier and see what happens. Maybe I'll have a change of hearts later on. It could happen. I will probably review real quick what I did with everything at the end. For now, you are in D tier. Sorry, not much value. You are competing against stuff like Apocalypse. So at the very least, you won't be picked first. If there is Beak and Apocalypse, you know, we never pick Beak. Anyway, next up is Blind Rage on Tifret's floor. Blind Rage is a very interesting card, to say the least. It's an extremely cheap mass attack 4 cost with 3 insanely strong rolls, 9 to 15 3 times. Now obviously you have the drawback of hitting your entire team and most likely killing them at some point. But hear me out. I mean, sure, you're gonna kill your team probably, or hurt them badly, but you're also gonna kill the enemy team. And if the enemy team is dead, you have won the reception. Also, if you kill your teammates, you're most likely gonna be able to play Blind Rage again and again if you kill someone else with the second one, which is 9 to 15 is, you might be able to block it with your teammates with, I don't know, Starry Defense, for example, might block the second die. Something with a very strong first die might do it, Deep Drag, Vapor, Celestial Spear, all that good jazz. But you will, by picking Blind Rage, you will accept the damage on your team. And as long as you accept it, and you know the damage, the insane amount of damage you're gonna cause to the enemy team, I think this is an extremely good page. I don't know if I can place it in S tier, but I can at the very least place it in A tier. It's just, it is insane amount of damage, and as I said earlier, big numbers, well, big numbers is very good. So for now it's gonna be A tier, high A tier. I might place that in S tier later on. Actually, it will probably happen. Anyway, next up is Crimson Scar, if I'm not mistaken, right? Cobalt Scar, sorry. Cobalt Scar is an interesting page. It has an effect that the PM has really never done anywhere else. So here is how it is read. It's a 5 cost, okay? Not a mass attack, keep that in mind. Dice on this page do not deal damage or stagger damage on hit. Very interesting. First die is a 4-9. This die is rolled 4 times. That's very high damage for sure, you know. At least a 16 damage. Anyway, second die is a 5-11. On hit, deal damage equal to the sum of all valid rolls, so the one that you won, done with all dice on this page. I'm assuming this just doesn't deal any stagger damage because of that. No, it does say right off the bat. I'll be honest, I've never, or really rarely played this page because I think it's not that good. Like, first of all, it's a 5 cost page, so that's pretty expensive when it's not a mass attack. And yeah, the effect is just weird, and if it does no stagger damage, I just don't like it. I can see the potential damage with this page. It is here. I see it. You know, pretty high rolls. But I just think I would rather have something that benefits from strength, because this one doesn't, obviously, and have way more damage, or a mass attack. I don't know. This one is a pretty weird one, and this is I might just misrank this one just because of the sheer weirdness of it, but I think this is C tier. I just don't like it. Just don't think it warrants a 5 cost. The effects are just damage. Pretty much it is just damage. It doesn't do anything but damage, and doesn't even do stagger damage. And most of the time you're gonna want stagger damage. So yeah, this is C tier for now. Next up is Crimson Scar. So Crimson Scar is the first synchronization we're gonna go over in this list, and unfortunately it is, in my opinion, the worst of the three. Red doesn't have that many good pages. She has good pages, okay, she does have something, but it's honestly a little, it pales in comparison to the other two, I would say, and synchronization is already pretty weird as is. Like you have to play the page first, and then it happens. Then you're only gonna be synchronized for 3 scenes, sorry, and you still get some value out of it. You know, usually her pages are pretty cheap, if not just outright free, and well, it might give you some tool for some situation. I don't think it's just that great. I think it's just average at best, and yeah, still, in my opinion, the worst of the 3 synchronization. So you are going to go C tier. Crimson Scar, as much as I like Little Red, it's just the way that it is. Next up is the Capo. It's a mass attack on Netsack's floor. Pretty good pages, or page. I wanted to say pretty good dice is the thing, so I got confused here. First of all, mass attack, extremely important. And then here's the thing: 3 pretty good dice, with every single one of them having effects, and this is just value overload. You know, unless the effects are trash, it's usually what you want to see on a page. 3 dice, good rolls, effects on each and every single one of them. So, and this, and the rolls are good, yeah. 4-8, 4-9, 5-9. You know, if you have just some strength, that can easily beat 3 enemy dice. And here are the effects. The first one is on hit, target loses 2 light next scene. I said it earlier, light drain is extremely good, extremely valuable. Second effect is on hit, target speed is fixed at 1 next scene. Also very, very good. You can use some, well, first of all, you can choose your counters and your clashes, sorry, and your one-sided attacks, because everyone's gonna be at 1. Very, very good value. And the third one is on hit, inflict 1 feeble and disarm this scene. And we all know that the player's mass attacks go first every turn, right? Which means you're gonna cripple the whole enemy team for 1 scene, for the scene that this is played, in addition to dealing damage, in addition to draining light, in addition to fixing their speed at 1. I think you understand where I'm getting at with this one. This is just pure value. Sure, it is a 6 cost, but it is justified. It is a reasonable 6 cost. It's a very, very good page. Obviously, Shimmer is gonna deny your first die effect. They don't care about losing light, but the other 2 are still here, which is why this page is even better. Even with shimmering, you still got something out of it. You got the speed is fixed at 1, and you got the feeble and disarm. So this is just an S tier, in my opinion. Very good mass attack. You're gonna eat some dice. You're gonna apply some effects. You're gonna do damage. It just does it all. It just does it all. Anyway, next up is Silence. What if even is your... Oh, Dead Silence. Okay. Hawkmass Floor. So this page has a very unique effect, actually. I think this is the only thing that gives us a speed die. So first of all, this is a melee attack, not a mass attack. It is a 3 cost. Pretty cheap, you would love to see it. It is on use, gain a speed die for the next scene. First time we see that, I believe, or we have that. And then the roll is a 12 to 20. You know, for a 3 cost, it's just... It is good, it is nothing out of the ordinary, you know, along the lines of Vapor, Deep Drag, Celestial Spear, the ones I like to quote, as usual. And it says, on Clash Win, destroy opponent's next die. So, this is just a pretty safe page, honestly. It does a pretty good effect. So, you know, destroying the opponent's next die means that you don't have to care about using something that only has 1 die against a page that has 3, because you're gonna win the first clash, because it's a 12 to 20. and then you're gonna break the second one, which means you only have to deal with the third one, if there is one. And then gaining a speed dice, it is fancy, right? It is pretty fancy, but honestly it's not that great. We already have lots of speed dice, is the thing, and getting one more is just, well, you have to do something with that speed dice, and sometimes you just don't have the pages because something happened. You can have freaked up with your draw management, or you don't have anything to play on that last speed die. So this is just a fancy effect, but it's not great. I still like the page. I love the aesthetic, especially the background and your librarian turning into I don't know, like a time cultist or whatnot. It's just, it looks great. It looks beautiful, and honestly, that for me it does play a little bit. It does come into play. I mean, to me this is a B tier, like low B tier. You might pick it sometimes. It looks great. The rolls are pretty good. 12 to 20. I don't mind. I don't mind it too much. I just don't mind it. Also, destroying the next die can actually be very useful against certain enemies. It's the same as Nemo's laser, and sometimes, especially Flaming Dragon Fist, you know, it's like a 4/7 block and then 20 to something second die. Right? I don't remember the exact value, but with Dead Silence, well, you just absolutely negate that card, right? You win the first one, and then there is no big damage coming up. So it still has some niche uses. Still a bit here because it looks great. Anyway, next up is Faded Memories on a Chisette's floor. Mass attack. I always like to start with that as usual. So this is a... I like it. First of all, 2 individual dice, 5, 10, 5, 9. Pretty good rolls, honestly. Nothing extraordinary, nothing out of the usual. Sorry, and 5 cost, by the way. So it is expensive, but the first die read this: if the attack hits at least once, all allies draw 1 page. The first part is important here. If the attack hit at least once, so you don't even have to care about hitting every single one of the enemies. You just have to hit once and you draw 1 page. The second one is the exact same thing. If the attack hit at least once, all allies draw 1 page. This is pretty good. Having a page draw for, I think 2 page draws, sorry, for your entire team is just very, very good value. You know, you don't have to play suddenly you don't have to play that Will of the Prescript that you wanted to play with the other guy. It's just very, very, it's very support-like, and it is the theme on Chisette's floor a little bit. And yeah, it's just extreme value, I would say. Pretty good damage, pretty good roll, not that expensive, affects your entire team. Draw is something we cannot lack of in the game. You know, if you don't submit to the singleton meta, which unfortunately is pretty good, so it's hard to pass up on. But yeah, I just like it. I would honestly, I think it's an S tier. Having your whole team drawing 2 pages is just too much value for me to place it in even A tier. I was tempted to place this in A tier, very, very tempted. But you know, we might make some changes again. I still think it's very good. I still think it has its place in S tier. Okay, next up is Faint Aroma on Netsac's floor. First of all, mass attack, pretty important. But because you know sometimes there are going to be bots with mass attacks. It's a 5 cost, so it is reasonably expensive. The rolls are pretty bad. They're all the same. 3/7, 3/7, 3/7. An effect on each and every one of them, which I know I said earlier that it was good, but this one is pretty. I don't really know why this is the case. And this is what it does. On hit, if target is staggered, deal 8 damage. So all 3 of these dice have this effect. So if you really want to draw all the power from this page, I guess you have to do it on staggered enemies. But here's the thing: if they are staggered, and if you have 5 light to spare, chances are you are already winning this fight. It might not be the case, you know. It could help you in a pinch, but I doubt it. I just think it's too much of a specific effect. It's not like it requires a huge setup, but still, if the enemy is not staggered, it does nothing. It's, you know, bar the damage, and the damage isn't that good because it's just 3-7. Can easily lose the mass attack clash. You know, 3-7 isn't again not that good. I just think this is a little waste of light, honestly. Sure, if it is staggered, you get some damage in, but even 8 damage times 3, I suppose it is 24 damage, but it's just I don't know. The effect is just seem redundant a little bit, right? You're already gonna do double damage on the staggered unit, so I don't think it's a very good page, even though it's a mass attack. It is gonna go C tier for me. Next up is False Throne, right? Yep, it is. So this is, I believe, the most expensive E.G.O page at 7 cost. It is a mass attack, again, pretty important to note. And it does a very unique effect, that it revives all of the dead allies next scene for 1 scene. They have 4 lights. So this is very fancy, you know, it's very cool, I have to say. It also looks pretty nice. The rolls are 6, 10, 5, 9, 2 individual dice. So, you know, the rolls for the 7 costs are pretty bad, obviously. The effect again is pretty impressive, pretty fancy, pretty extraordinary. And it usually, the thing is, how do I put it? It is a pretty weird card to rate, because there's gonna be probably that one fight where you used it and it saved you, but more often than not, you won't need this page. You just won't need it, because either people don't die, or even if they died, you are so far behind that getting your guys back from 1 scene is not gonna help too much. So I think it is a weird one again, because I know it helped me once, for sure. It helped me clear something. I don't remember what it was, like Yan, I think. But overall, I think it's extremely expensive for an effect that is just fluff, pretty much. I'm not gonna put it in D tier, but it's gonna be C tier for me. It's not that great. I love the unique effect, don't get me wrong, but it's just not great enough. It's still gonna be above Faint Aroma. I should probably like sort this out. Something like this looks alright. S tier is fine as is. Actually, I'm gonna put the Capo above Apocalypse. This actually, I think Blind Rage is better than Black Swan, and yeah, okay, that looks better already. Next up is Fourth Match Flame on Malkute's floor. Fourth Match Flame is a very straightforward page. It's most likely gonna be the first mass attack you get your dirty hands on. And oh boy, dude, are you gonna be impressed by it? 12 to 40. It's as I said earlier, big number equals good. Pretty straightforward. Mass attack, summation, 12 to 40 on hit, inflict 5 burn. It is just, I mean, if you roll high, it is insane value. If you roll low, you're probably still gonna hit some enemies and are still gonna apply burn and deal some damage. So if you roll, you know, you're not too unlucky or too lucky, you're gonna roll like a 20 something, 25, and it's still very, very good. It's just a good page. That's all there is to it. Especially if you do the realization as soon as you can, which means you're gonna get it pretty early on in the game, and when you get it, it's just gonna disintegrate your enemies at this tier. So I just think this is a pretty highly value card, and it's gonna go A tier, high A tier. Not above Blind Rage. Come on, don't be ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, I love it. Could also honestly be S tier at this point. Next up is Fragments from Somewhere on Hot's floor, Netsack's floor, sorry. Not a mass attack, but a ranged attack. So it's still gonna go first unless there is a mass attack from the enemies. So this is a pretty interesting card. It does lots of things, and it does them well. Very, very well. First of all, it's a 4 cost, pretty cheap, honestly, for what it does. Start of clash, reduce power of all targets' dice by 4, which means you can easily clash with this and win. By 4 is just It's very, very good. It's 3 dice with 4/7 Pierce. Pierce is important because, well, Netsac's floor is all about Pierce. And the 3 dice have the same effect. On hit, deal 10 stagger damage to target. 10 stagger damage to target on every single one of those dice, and you're most likely going to win those 3 clashes and hit with those 3 dice. So you're going to do at the very least 30 stagger damage plus the rolls. And this is just like, for most enemies, for most goons I would say, not for a boss obviously, but for most the no-name fixers or you know, any goons again, we're just gonna stagger them in one shot. That's just insane value for one 4-cost little card right there. I just think this is an extremely high value card again. I love it. I pick it as soon as I see it. Usually, unless there's the Capo. So yeah, honestly, this is an S tier for me. It's just it does so many things. Easily you can easily clash with it. Lots of damage, extreme stagger damage. It's very, very good. Probably maybe low S tier, but we're gonna see about that later on. Next up is a Gold Rush on Tifret's floor. Another interesting page. I mean, most of the E.G.O pages are interesting, but you know, it's a 5 to 15 individual. So 5 to 15 is a little, you know, you can. It's a hit and miss. If you're unlucky, you can easily. Well, you roll once, and if you roll 5, for example, well, good luck hitting any of the enemies. Still, though, against lots of enemies, if you hit them all, I mean, you know, what I'm gonna say is, if you hit at least 1 or 2 of them, it's already pretty good. So here's what it does: individual on hit, restore 1 light, gain 1 strength next scene. So if you roll high, like let's say, I don't know, 13, 14, 15. Not even counting the added strength you can have, right? Usually right now, the meta is having a crapload of power stacking effects, right? So strength, stuff like that. So I'm just saying, let's say you have none of that, but you're still lucky and you get like 13, 14, 15. You're gonna hit every single one of the enemies. Let's say it's a fight with a lot of enemies. I don't know, Liu 1, Liu 2. This means this is gonna be free because you restore 1 light. I mean, it's not free, but you know what I mean. It's like neutral. You're gonna restore 1 light, which means next scene you can play whatever you want, and you're gonna have 5 strength, and you're gonna punch them for a pretty decent amount of damage if you roll like 14, 15. And next scene you're basically a god. So I really like Gold Rush. Obviously, way less impactful against bosses, and we got. You know, there are a couple of there are a few bosses in the game at this point, so it's not the best, but I really like it. I think it's either high B tier or low A tier. And because of the amount of bosses, I think I'm just gonna place it in high B tier for now. Yeah, that seems reasonable. Next up is a green stem on Malkute's floor. Again, as is for most of Malkute's things, or at least 4th Match Flame, it's pretty straightforward. It's one of the first mass attack you'll ever get. No effects on any dice. It's a 5-cost mass attack, 3/9, 3/9, 3/10, all pierce. By the way, this is pretty important. Mass attack that, yeah, just damage, but the rolls are pretty nice. Then again, the rolls are pretty wide, and that's something I don't really like. You know, 3/9. If you're unlucky 3 times in a row, and that has happened to me, that will happen to you, if it didn't already happen, you're gonna go roll like 3, 4, 3, you know, 4, 5, 4. It's not really great, right? On the other hand, if you get lucky, you know, I mean, I know it can easily be said for pretty much everything in this game, but you know, the widest the roll range is, the more chance you have to get unlucky, is what I'm getting at. Still, pretty straightforward, pretty alright damage. I like it. I don't think it's a bad page. This is gonna be B tier as well. It has a lot of potential to hit enemy dice though. Yeah, high B tier is fine. It's a tough one. I really want to place it in low A tier. But it's gonna... No, it's fine, it's fine. High B tier is fine. Oh, next up is... Something I don't really like myself. Grinder Mark 5-2. It's a mass attack, so you know you would think I'd like it, right? No, you would be wrong. I don't like it. It's a 5-cost mass attack, pretty expensive, right? The rolls are 2, 7, 3, 8, 4, 9. So the first roll is extremely bad. 2, 7 is just doesn't justify the 5 costs at all. Second one is 3, 8, already a little better, but still on the low side. You know what I said about Faint Aroma? This is pretty much the same one. And then 4, 9 is pretty good, but it is the same, the last die. Then they all do inflict 2 bleed next scene, so that's added value, but not that much. The unfortunate part about this page, and this is something you might not know, this mass attack for some reason does not hit enemy dice, even if you win. I mean, if you win the mass attack clash, it just doesn't. It is, I believe, to the extent of my knowledge, the only page that is cursed like that, but it is true. Nonetheless, it is still a mass attack, so it has some value. The main one being dealing a lot of damage. So it's gonna be low C tier for me. I just like 5 cost is too expensive. The first and the second die aren't that great. Bleed isn't that strong, and it doesn't eat dice. Yeah, that's a low C tier for me. I was contemplating placing you in D tier, my friend. That was a close one. You barely escaped it. I might actually change my mind later on. Next one is Harmony. Nice, a page I pretty much never pick. So Harmony is it has a lot of words, that's for sure. It does things. It's a 5-cost melee attack, so not a mass attack. Upon each successful hit, a random ally takes 3 stagger damage and gains 1 strength next scene. Upon defeating an enemy, all allies gain 2 strength. It is a 4/7 on hit. Recycle this die until it rolls a minimum value, up to 2 times. I don't like this, by the way. And the second one is the same one, but instead of being the 4/7, it is a 3/6. And then the last one is 4/8. So every time you hit something, one of your allies is going to lose 3 stagger but gain 1 strength. Okay, sure, why not? We do like strength gain. And then it does some damage. Let's say you are extremely unlucky and it doesn't recycle. Or only once. Because I think the minimum is once, right? Recycle this die until it rolls. Yeah. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 rolls. And then the 5th one, obviously, the last die. Which means 15 stagger damage to your friends. I mean, granted, you have to hit first. I am assuming under the assumption. I mean, talking under the assumption that you hit all of them. Which is, again, 15 stagger damage on your friends. But it is spread, right? It's not one guy. I mean, if you're unlucky, it's gonna be one guy taking all of it. And lots of strength as well, distributed along your friend. And if you kill someone, it's another +2 strength to your whole team. I'm not gonna lie, I've never picked it that much, and even less used it. So I would love to see it in action, that's for sure. I do like strength stacking, as everyone does, I'm sure. I think because of the potential of strength you can get, especially if you, I don't know, if you use it with Marinae, for example, it can probably lead to some pretty high stacks of strength. Which again, I think because of that it has to be pretty good. Again, I'd love to see it in action. I'd place it in like B tier for now, because it's not a mass attack still, so the damage is still gonna be narrowed down to one enemy. So you know, the damage potential isn't really here. The strength gain potential is pretty good though, I gotta admit. And next up is Harvest on Chesed's floor. Harvest is a range page that costs 4. That says it's a 15 to 25 first of all, so that's lots of damage, and then gain +2 power for every living ally, so you can get up to. Ah wait, actually I don't even know if it counts the guy using it. So let's say it doesn't. It only counts the other allies. Usually it does specify other allies, but let's say it doesn't. So the maximum you can get is +8 power, right? Which would bump this to a 23 to 33. That's pretty good. That's pretty good damage. it is a range page, so it's gonna go first before mass attacks, after mass attacks, sorry. And you know, the thing is that it's a slash die, by the way, doesn't really matter too much, but gotta describe it. It just does damage. Like, that's all there is to it. No extra effect, no extra value. You gain a second die, an evade die of 410, which is, you know, it's pretty good. It's just something that's gonna get retained and it's gonna help you for later clashes, most often. Yeah, just roll damage like that is fine, I suppose. It's a 4 cast with a high roll. And I still don't think it's that good. Like, compared to, I don't know, Pinpoint Shot, for example, which is a 3 cast range page as well. Sure, the rolls are way lower, but it's pretty much the same thing, right? It's just one big shot, and that's it. I don't really think it warrants a high rating. It's gonna go high C tier, I'd say. But you know, no mass attack, pretty big number, I gotta say, but only on one target, no effect. It's just it is there for sure. Yeah, high C tier is fine. It's not that bad, honestly. And then we have Heaven. Is that your name? It is your name. Heaven is another range page that does just damage. Oh, actually, no, it does something else that is way better. First of all, it's a 3 cast, 14 to 25 range. Like, compared to Harvest real quick. Harvest is at best, I think, 23 to 33. This is a 14 to 25, so it is lower, obviously. But it also does, first of all, it costs 1 less. It is a 3 cast. It seals a speed die of target next scene, and this is a good effect. This is something I would have loved to see on Harvest. So yeah, 3 costs, high damage. You're gonna hit with this one. That's what I'm trying to say. You're gonna hit 14 to 25. You're gonna hit whatever you want to hit. And sealing a speed dice is a speed die. Sorry, it has value. That's for sure. Like, I cannot deny that, especially against bosses. If you remove one of their actions, then obviously you gain a lot out of it. So I think it is pretty high. I would say B tier, high B tier. I like it, but you know, it's no mass attack. It's no sound of a star, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, next up is Hornet, and apparently we are still on the ranged E.G.O page territory. It is pretty much the same as the 2 previous ones, ironically enough. This is on Malkuth's lore, so we're gonna get it pretty early on. It is a 9 to 32. I don't like the roll range, I gotta say right away. It is a 3 cost. If you're unlucky, you're just not gonna see too much out of this card. The thing is, it does something. That something is inflict 5 fragile next scene. And 5 fragile is pretty good. It is pretty good. It is a debuff that is, I think, a little underestimated, because I believe the way fragile works is that it always happens after taking into account resistances and everything, which means if you hit someone for 1 because of resistances and stuff, you're still gonna do +5 because of 5 fragile. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is how it works. And 5 free damage on every attack, especially on a boss, is just high value. I like it. I like Hornet. I'm gonna place you in low A tier. Also, you know, the damage, if you're lucky, is pretty good. You know, 32 as a max roll is nice. Next up is In the Name of Love, right? Is that your name? In the Name of Love and Hatred. How could I and Hate, actually? How could I forget? So this is just, honestly, it is the page the kind of page I like. Just onga bonga, big number, summation, mass attack, sorry, I meant 5 cost summation mass attack, 22 to 33, that's it. That's all there is to it. No added effect, no fluff, just pure raw power. And honestly, in this game, it's everything you want. Sure, we also love some added effects, like the Capo, but this is also pretty good. it is most likely gonna hit everyone, do a lot of damage, and that's all there is to it. Is if you can stagger an enemy, you know, usually you are ahead. I really like it. I don't know if it's if it deserves an S tier. Like, is it a no-brainer on T-Fret floor? Do you pick it as soon as you see it? I think that's the case actually. So you're gonna be low S tier.